shit. Second new episode, I guess. Fuck. Oh, man.
It's been so long.
Yeah, fucking... So, BrainDeath, everybody. Fucking A.
I don't think we need introductions at this point.
No, not since we've been doing this since, 2013 just about?
Yeah, about there. That's been 2013.
Our
Part of what got me
fucking...
on Skype.
Yeah, no shit. Our fucking... If you average out our fucking episode release, we're doing terrible.
That's part of the reason I don't want to. No, it'll be woeful.
Oh,
make George R.R. Martin look like a mirror when it comes to releases.
Jesus, right? Oh man. Actually, this is throwing back to the original theme of the podcast, showing you shit about the fandom that you weren't aware of.
And didn't necessarily have any inherent desire to become aware of.
So, I decided so for those of you who listened to the previous episode, where we're talking about Bitter Lake, at the end of it, I mentioned something about Dave Hopkins, also known as Drip Rat. And Josh mentioned that he did not know who that was. So I've spent the time between podcasts educating him. And now we're going to discuss him.
Well, you're really going to have to do some background because the education I have received so far has been trying to read through some of this individual's web comics, I suppose.
Yeah, Dave. First and foremost, Dave Hopkins is known for a webcomic that he is still going on. Actually, the first of the comics were drawn in 2001, and he is still doing them to this day. Those of you familiar with Dave will know that the webcomic in question is Jack. Posted on both.com. It is... It's a fucking mess. For really
something.
lack of a better term. It's a mess. He's got other, webcomics and offshoots that he does on, his FA profile. I don't think I linked you to any of them, but they're there. He does, one of the ones he does in his gallery is the Long Island Story, which actually was published as a graphic novel by a furry publisher. He's got a few books out that he ultimately uploaded online for free. So, if you're like me and you bought the books, fuck you, I guess. And I say that because, okay, and I didn't really mention this to you beforehand. I used to be a Dave Hopkins fan.
I was kind of wondering if maybe that's how you first came across his work.
Yes, I came across Jack when I was an edgy teenager. When I was first kind of...
2001, that's kind of the right time frame there.
yeah, I found his work kind of when there was maybe a third of what he has now. Found it, and it really appealed to the edgy shitlord inside me. Especially since at the time I was still on my Bender against religion So it really, yeah, it appealed to me. Dave Hopkins for me is definitely one of those stories of tastes changing over time and becoming a lot better. Really, what is there to say about this?
Well,
I really don't even know where to start because there's so much about Dave Hopkins that you could talk about.
I would suggest briefly talking a little bit about the comic, briefly, just kind of some of the... Well, hang on, hear me out. I would suggest briefly familiarizing people with some of the comic, and then going a little bit more into Hopkins himself, because that's a subject you're going to have to fill me in on.
Yeah.
I think you linked me as FA, but I was trying to read comics, so I haven't looked at it yet. So after we go over a little bit more of Hopkins himself, I guess we could go a little bit more in depth in some of these comics and just a little bit of the eccentricity displayed in them. But yeah, go over just some of the basics of the comic, get people familiar, then go a little bit more into the man, and then circle back on the comics, and we can go in more in depth and get to some of the juicier, weird, kind of fucked up shit. That's just my suggestion. You do it however you fucking want to do it.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to go.
I think it's good pacing that way.
Jack is a webcomic. It's very much a furry webcomic. I guess the titular character, Jack, is the Grim Reaper. He is the Grim Reaper. He's the Sin of Wrath in Dave Hopkins' version of Hell. It's very, very heavy religious overtones. Abrahamic religions, obviously.
We're talking like sludge metal levels of heavy, too, by the way.
Yeah, this is... He has opinions. Dave Hopkins has opinions on religion, and he makes them well known.
Calling them an overtone, I guess you could technically say they're overtones of religion, but I'd say it's more like religious overtures in some ways. It's being a little bit unfair, but it's seriously... I clicked on a bunch of random comics before I went ahead and read through one that Ed himself personally linked me, and man, the religious tones are heavy. I mean, I'm into stuff with religious themes, because honestly, in our Western society, that's a theme that you can use for all kinds of shit, whether or not you are religious yourself. I know because I'm quite fond of them.
Yeah.
Not anything but religious, but man, the actual theme, the tones, the overtones are all, even when they're not necessarily supposed to be the focal point, they are there, and they are very clear and present. I'm sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, no. So anyway, Jack is the Grim Reaper. When the comic first starts, it kind of centers around this little kid character called Pinar. He was apparently either died before he was born or was an abortion. I don't know if he really made that clear or not.
It seemed to me, because that was the ones I read, it seemed to me he was either a butchered abortion, a butchered C-section, or just a miscarriage or a stillbirth. Either way, it resulted in the death of both him and his mother.
Yeah.
Although, in one of the comics, I think after the first one, Jack, the death character, does make a mention to having to deal with reaping the souls of children that die through abortion, although he doesn't say it literally That way, that's very clearly what he means. But not to distract you or interrupt or anything. It's just something I noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, he definitely dies at birth, and so does his mother.
So it kind of centers around this Nar kid for a little while, and then the narrative shifts over to following Jack himself, the Grim Reaper. Something you had asked about, him being the sin of wrath.
Yeah, because, I mean, it seems strange. You've got the 7 deadly sins, and then you've got the 4 horsemen, and you would think if any one of those figures is going to be the Grim Reaper, it would be the Horsemen of Death.
Well, the horsemen, as far as I've read, do not make any sort of appearance at all. So, he kind of goes around that. The reason he is the sin of wrath is because in this world that Dave has created, the anthropomorphic characters were created in a lab by humans. And Jack was the first. Well, they make a little girlfriend for him, and it becomes kind of an Adam Eve thing for Furries. His girlfriend is killed by a doctor, and this sets the dude off. It sets Jack off. And Jack basically becomes the furry Hitler. Goes.
Wait, why is he not a fox?
What? Because this is way before the furry raiders.
Dang.
Otherwise, I don't think Dave would have been able to avoid like that obvious jab at them, because he makes a lot of jabs in his comics, which we'll get on. We'll get on that.
Good.
So, and yeah, he becomes furry Hitler and wipes out the entire human race, leaving the world to the furries.
Gee, man, I didn't think that was something that was going to require a third party. I thought the human race had that fucking in the bag. Sparing, of course, a giant meteor.
Right. Dave's kind of blue rat thing, his persona, I guess. His representation of himself is called Drip, and it is a monstrous blue rat with black markings on the eyes. And during his time on Earth, he was a serial rapist and murderer.
Korean bastard!
He's also Fnar's dad. And Fnar is a rape baby.
Oh. Oh, shit. What?
Yeah. So that is covered in one of the comics, one of the story arcs, and yeah, he's been at this since 2001. Dave has, and so there's like a shitload of arcs.
That's an understatement. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, hold on a sec. So far there are 47 main arcs, with little short asides sprinkled in between them. Like he does little mini arcs and shit like that. The arcs range anywhere between 3 and 4 pages to the longest one, which is 143 pages of comic. It's a lot of shit. That is a lot of shit. Like trying to get Josh to read through some of these was like.
Oh, it had to have taken me at least 20 minutes, if not a little more, to get through the one that I sat here reading while you were in the call. Just in 20 minutes of silence as I'm scrolling through this.
Yeah, it's, I think that one was like 40 some odd pages. And they're a tedious read because Dave, for, you know, all his DIY shit, really needs a fucking editor. really could benefit from, you know, an editor. His grammar is, fuck. I remember reading through some of his comics when I was younger, and just a few sentences confusing the hell out of me because he was using like the wrong iterations of certain words. And it was tedious. These arcs can get very, very tedious to read.
They're not particularly simplistic. Like they are, from what I've read, there's a decent bit of, like, depending on which one you're reading, they're sometimes they can get kind of complex, and when you are just scrolling through panel after panel, especially of black and white, when the grammar and the syntax itself begins to become a little inconsistent or in some cases convoluted, it really shakes things up.
Yeah.
And I was telling Ed earlier, it takes me a while to read some of these because I have some difficulties with tracking, meaning I lose my place a lot. It's hard for me to follow the lines, which is even worse when I'm reading a block of text, you know. But
and there are some blocks of text in his shit. Holy fuck.
Yeah, I found myself having to actually, you know, go back and this isn't exclusive to this dude. This happens with much better written comics as well. I'll find myself having to go back and reread a couple of panels to see if I missed something, because something pops up. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, okay, it was explained like a panel ago. I missed that because that was worded really weird and didn't make sense at first.
Yeah.
So I just plowed right through it, and then I get on later. I'm like, wait. And they go, what? What you say?
Yeah, some, if not a lot of his stuff, you really have to, like, pay attention, which I'm not going to knock him for that. He's trying to create a fucking, you know, in-depth thing. But kind of like with the Bitter Lake thing, there's a weird disconnect between the two. He does these really dark, really edgy, really in-depth subjects, but couple that with his art style, and it's jarring.
That was another thing that, and maybe I should save that critique for later when we go through some of the stuff a little bit more in depth. But there is definitely a disconnect between the content and the style in which it is portrayed, which is not something that is necessarily bad, especially when it's intended to be fucking jarring. Like, let's be honest, Happy Tree Friends would not be something that we remember or that I could even name and have be relevant if it weren't for the fact that super cutesy, like, pretty clean-cut animation was juxtaposed with some of the most bizarre, excessively gory, fucked up shit you could think of. Like a really cutesy blue moose having to break his own leg with a spoon to get out from underneath a rock, while looking completely adorable the whole time, but leaving me in this really uncomfortable, visually displeasing situation. Like, there's a reason for that. It works.
Yeah, it works. God,
it doesn't necessarily work with this one, though. Like, I mean, yeah, it just, because sometimes the style it gets really grotesque looking. Like, yeah, I won't get into that too much now. I can save that for later, but it's definitely noteworthy as being off.
Yeah.
It just puts you off a little bit. It's like, one of these things is not like the other.
So, you have this kind of cast of characters. It basically follows Jack, being the Grim Reaper, living in hell.
It's like Yoda just had a really bad hit of bath salts or something, man. Like,
Yeah, it really does. Like, fuck. Apparently there was a fucking platform game that I wasn't aware of.
based on this?
Yeah, based on this.
Oh boy.
So, certain arcs will, break off and follow, different characters. I, there's kind of an overarching theme of, Jack trying to make amends for his past. And, he's got a couple of angels from heaven that, believe in him and try to help him redeem himself, for, lack of a better term. It's a clusterfuck. Like, I really don't. Because he does. He goes on these weird little side tangents. And it's like some of them are just for the sake of being shocking. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but there's a certain way you have to pull it off. And I used to think that he pulled it off very well. Looking back on it, 10 years later,
Not so much.
Not so much. Like,
Do you have any specific examples I should take a quick peek at? Because you said they were like these little side things, so I'm guessing it's one of the shorter ones.
not offhand, but like a perfect example is the second story arc.
Yeah, that was one I figured we were going to get into a little bit later, because that was one I couldn't let go.
Yeah, that one.
We'll talk about that one a bit, because that's.
So, I mean, there's really not much to go, like, much deeper you could go with it, as far as a general overview. He talks about, like, suicide, murder, rape, all these things pop up very, very frequently.
All those things that Game of Thrones does and does really well, except not.
Yeah, exactly.
Then again, this is a webcomic and not George R.R. Martin, but I digress. Couldn't help but draw the parallel.
Oh, yeah, no, he's very, like I said, he's got very strong opinions on, Abrahamic religions, specifically Christianity.
Yeah, we're not talking about a Jew. God.
No.
That would be terrible.
No, it's very, very, heaven, hell, angels, Grim Reaper, Satan. Satan is a weird self-insert character, too. He likes to make himself, like, the most vile people in the comics. I'm not sure why he does that.
It's a little bit alarming, but...
Yeah.
Although I will say, despite all this very much Christian, not just iconography, but undertones, I don't get the impression he would qualify as your typical mainstream religious type, because none of the themes are particularly
Oh yeah,
Like,
no.
yeah,
If you
definitely
read
not a.
through like a lot of the comic, there's a lot of divergence from typical Christian value or Christian viewpoints. Um, you know what? It very much comes off as someone who was born and raised Christian and became very discontent with the religion and decided they were going to write a webcomic about it.
That's actually a decent description. Because I picked up on those Christian undertones, and then very much like some of the counter opposite. And I'm like, alright, there ain't no way in hell this nigga is a Catholic, and he sure as fuck ain't no Baptist. Because I've known my fair share of both, and this boy ain't either.
No. Dave, I'm not really. All I really know about the guy is what I've seen through the comics and a few of the little things that he has said on his FA and all that fun shit. He's one of the quote-unquote old guard, I guess. He's very much friends with guys like Gene Catlow, some of his other friends, or they're all people who are like from the 90s.
I kind of figured he'd be kind of old guard based on the style.
Yes, his style is very old guard, very it has not aged well. And it has not improved like at all. You go back to like the very first story arc in Jack, and it's for 2001, it's not bad. The most he has done is clean up his lines. Wow. Sorry, I'm thumbing through his gallery just a little bit.
I figured what that somewhat pained wow was about was something in the gallery.
Yeah. Like, his art style. Okay. When I was younger, I got a character commission from Dave Hopkins. Because, the writer and artist with Jack, yeah. And for some reason, I have kind of an affinity for the old guard artists, especially the lesser known ones that are still active. I don't know why. I'm a masochist.
Oh, come on, we know.
Now, this is the commission I got. That was 2011. So, 6 years ago. That was like early 2011, too.
Yeah, it's before I. Well, actually, no, I had been talking to you by then, but not
not to this extent.
Not on a friendly basis, just kind of a hi, hello.
Yeah. So that's the commission that I got from Dave Hopkins.
When did you get hips?
For reference, my character is supposed to be a male.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I don't think he could have made it look any more edgelord if he tried.
Oh, yeah, he could.
Well, I didn't ask for a trench coat, so.
Just have him do a picture of you with some trip pants flipping off the viewer with your other hand on your hips.
No, I'm serious. I got a commission from an artist. It was a yearbook school photo. And it to this date is probably still one of my favorite commissions I've got.
I got one from them too, right?
Yeah, I know. But I mean, like, stereotypical mall goth. And that yearbook photo commission is not as edgy as the bucking Dave Hopkins. And the art is infinitely better.
I would only say it is not not as edgy, I mean, because this is in retrospect, looking back at it, knowing full well that you were a pole-smoking edgelord. Of course, I was too, not quite to the same extent, but I did put, like, fucking Johnny Cash lyrics in my yearbook quote, which I would do again if I had the choice.
Yeah. So, Dave Hopkins seems to kind of revel in being this. He seems to kind of revel in people's disgust and discomfort in his comic, and subsequently his, artwork that he posts online.
So nothing like us in any way, shape, or form at all.
No, absolutely
No.
not. Absolutely
No, not at all.
There's very frequently tits, dicks, and vaginas in his artwork. However, he does not know how to draw any of those.
I mean, to be fair, I struggle with drawing tits. In before a gay joke. Oh, tits are just hard to draw, okay.
Really, the only thing I can think to talk about is his artwork, and perfect example is this picture right here. It's this dynamic action pose. Holy fuck! What?
I've drawn a pose very much like this, actually. Not identical, but incredibly similar.
I'm not an artist. I couldn't sit down and draw this. But it's like with my girlfriend. I'll play her stuff that I'm writing, like music that I'm writing, because she's not a musician. I think we've discussed this on previous episodes. I the fucking
Ed, do I need to call 911? Are you having a stroke?
No.
Do you feel some numbness in one side of your body?
I almost wish I was. I wouldn't have to talk about this.
Because I think I'm about on the verge of having a stroke because I looked at the picture that you linked me, and I just noticed that the species is labeled coyote.
I didn't even do that on purpose.
I know you didn't, and that's what makes it scary, because is...
I think specifically it's the legs. It's the legs. The legs are holy fuck.
I think it's the angle of the foot and the leg in the forefront that's just off. Because the leg itself, I don't know, it doesn't look too terrible. I can't really speak for the one in the background because there's not much of it.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't front page fun time, but I don't know. I hadn't really looked through his gallery or anything. I'm just looking through his comics.
Well, you basically see one Dave Hopkins picture. You've seen them all. The artwork never really changes style or gets better or anything like that.
Hopkins never changes.
Fuck. Like I said, there's not really much that I can go on as far as Dave himself. And I guess that's kind of to his credit. He's been able to, I guess, stay relatively in the back seat and let his work do the bulk of the talking for him.
Something a lot of younger artists really aren't going to be able to say in the next 10 years when somebody's doing a podcast that talks about them.
Right?
Well, we were just going to talk a little bit about Dave. We're going to kind of cover the comics in general and talk about Dave as like a person. I figured maybe you knew something more about him, like his history and shit.
No, but see, that's what...
You were just saying.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. There's not really
much.
that much to go on as far as Dave himself. You know, he's married, but it ain't no sense in dragging, his personal life into it.
No, not unless it's affected his...
Dave himself is pretty unremarkable, I guess is the best way I could say it. He's not one of these artists like Zausch, where not only is their portfolio speak negatively about them, but their behavior in person and online.
You could do an entire episode on Zausch's fucking behavior itself.
Exactly,
which is not
alone his workload.
Yeah, which is not an impression I get from this guy. I think this was mostly about his fucking comic and just how what the fuck, it's...
Yeah.
So I guess that means we should probably move on to the comic and focus a little bit more on stuff.
Yeah, the first arc is basically this Fnar character dying in the womb.
Fnar the rape baby.
Yeah. Bird takes his nose and flies off with it, so he shows up without a nose for the rest of the comic, because why not?
Is that what happened? I missed the bird part. I was wondering what the fuck was going on with that. I thought he just hadn't fully formed or something.
Yeah, no, if you look at the first, page or two, he's got a nose, and then in, the third page, a bird grabs his nose and flies off.
Okay, alright, that makes more sense.
Fnar is like this little fox-rat hybrid thing because... rape baby. The first arc is pretty unremarkable.
Oh, it's pretty fucking disturbing.
Oh, yeah, no, it's... If it was just by itself, it would be pretty... that's pretty fucked up, Then you get to the second arc.
I was wondering if that was just an arc or what the relevance was of the second one, because that's the one that really got me to kind of stop for a second. What am I fucking reading right now?
These were done in a different order than they were posted, from what I understand. As far as, the first couple of arcs. He drew arc 3 first, I believe. And then he did arc 2. And he just kind of drew arc 1 to tie it all together. I don't know why he thought that would tie it all together.
Lucas logic.
Yeah, really. So we get to the second arc.
Angry Brian?
Angry Brian.
Yeah.
Josh, you want to talk about this one, since I know you have to have a few things to say about this.
Oh, fuck, dude. This is probably the one out of all of them I've got the most to say about. Although I don't know if it's that much, other than what the fuck, dude. Is there anything you want to just say about it, right off the bat? Or
the corn shirt is utterly hilarious.
I noticed that too. I guess I'll just dive into it then. So it starts off with, I think I knew what it was going to be about pretty much instantaneously. And I think most of the people that decide to go look at the stuff when we're done with it wouldn't need me telling them what it's about to look at the first 3 panels or so and know where this is going. Now, I don't say that because I'm particularly familiar with modern-day school shootings in the United States, but that's exactly what this ends up covering, and it's, like I said, apparent from the get-go. I mean, the first colored panel we have is a character walking towards your standard, I'd say, 90s to mid-2000s era schoolhouse, and they're wearing black, and they've got a shotgun. That tells you pretty much everything right there. The little tiny, I guess, dialogue box at the top that says Brian had it isn't
with
even
that
necessary.
Weird ass comma in there.
Brian had it. Yeah, I don't. Shouldn't if the comma was going to be anywhere, shouldn't it be after Brian? Oh, I'm getting anal now. Fucking take my armband off. Yeah, it sets it up with the stereotype, and let me just say, it doesn't seem like it's glorifying school shootings, in my personal opinion.
Well,
so,
no, by the time you get to the end, it's very much, this is not a good thing that happened kind of deal.
Yeah, and the people that did it are, but it is very, very obvious within the first couple panels that it's got a Columbine feel to it. You've got a guy wearing all black, of course. Of course, this isn't Columbine exclusive, but Columbine is pretty much what started this trend of shooters wearing trench coats and shooters wearing all black. You've got this character, this dog. He's gray and black fur, and he's got a couple little dialogue things. I guess it's an internal thought process that the narrator is kind of highlighting to us.
Yeah.
It's, yesterday was the last time they laughed. He climbed the steps wearing his father's quote-unquote war souvenir. I think specifically quoting it, putting that in there to kind of emphasize that it's a little ridiculous. And then you get the last panel, payback time. It's got him wandering through the fucking school, not really finding anybody, probably because they're all in fucking class or something. So he goes into the main office.
Which, can I say, he uses the phrase "no fur" to greet him?
I wasn't even going to mention that. Yeah, he uses the term fur in that sense that I'm sure everyone listening to this has probably seen somebody use it. Like, no fur, or any fur, or every fur, instead of just putting
One.
the word body, or one, or...
Any other thing that is not completely autistic as fuck? Like, holy shit.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
So then it goes through, he fucking massacres a whole bunch of fucking kids for no fucking reason. And,
Jesus sent me. He says go to hell.
Yeah, and the internal monologue says, he had heard that in a movie once, kind of, I guess, underscoring the, just the kind of patheticness of it all. So, yeah, he finds this one person under a fucking desk, hiding, and executes her, which is clearly a throwback to one of the stories that came out of Columbine. But I'm sure you guys have heard of, well, I'm not sure you guys have heard of Cassie, but there was a supposed student in Columbine where one of the shooters walked up, I don't know if it was Eric or Dylan, walked up and put the gun to their head and asked them if they believed in God. And they apparently said yes, and then they shot them in the head right there and then. And, the mom wrote a book about it afterwards. Turns out a lot of that was just, completely
bullshit.
Made up. Yeah, it was completely bullshit. We don't... Some of the people in the library said that he didn't ask her anything. He just walked up and shot her in the fucking head. And I'm pretty sure even if she had said no, he probably would have still shot her in the fucking head because he's absolutely batshit insane psychopath.
Yeah, imagine that.
So, yeah, you've got all this, and then he leaves after he shot up all these people. And this was something I found really strange. Um, eh, on his way out of this room that he's walked into, another room, I believe, and massacres a whole bunch of more students just completely blindly. He ends up getting shot. He gets shot himself. I don't know if it was another student or supposed to be a teacher or what. It was kind of confusing.
Well, it says that Brian recognized the kid who shot him, so I'm assuming it's a student, a fellow student of his.
Yeah, that's right. I just wasn't really. Yeah, that's right. Because the other kids, he had the character that ended up getting shot by this kid had actually made fun of him before.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Said Brian recognized the kid that shot him. Brian and his friends had laughed at him and called him the NRA preacher. Brian shot back. Apparently, Brian at this point has already been fatally shot, so he's dead as shit. And at this point, it goes into this is where I got confused at first, because this was like the first time I had encountered this weird this Jack character and how it bridges the whole death scene thing. So I had to reread this at least once after he gets shot. Like, he literally gets shot in the fucking head, and he's fucking dying, and he's still experiencing consciousness, because this is the point where he kind of crosses the threshold, and he meets Jack. And Jack walks him back into the room that he was trying to leave, and all the kids he just fucking murdered are in there. And it, as fucked up as it gets, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the least fucked up parts of the comic. Like, this was the easiest for me to follow. Because, needless to say, all the kids that he just shot are still coming to terms with the fact that they're dead. And he walks back into the room.
There's like a panel where it's like all these fucking quotes from the fucking kids that he shot.
Yeah, I'll let you take it from here. I haven't really got a whole lot more to say other than just describing it, and that's no fun.
Yeah, no, he gets dragged back into the room by, the girl who's supposed to be Cassie, I guess. And it's very much, you ruined my life. Fucking, I never told Dave I loved him, which that's kind of funny. Dude, you killed me. I don't want to be dead. Where's the rest of my face?
Very much a shame trip, although it was, I won't lie, that the scene a couple panels down after the where's the rest of my face, and there's a character tugging on him that is literally missing their entire face.
Right.
That was pretty spooky, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's
yeah. And this is one of the arcs where he really kind of delves into the gore aspect of his artwork. As I said before, there's that disconnect there, because he does do the kind of cartoony animals, I guess, but then he couples it with, like the gore and shit, and it comes off really fucking weird. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. Like the panel where the girl is missing her face. It's just like the fucking jaw hanging there and then a big hole.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very hyper violent, I guess. Very over the top.
Well, the dude on the left side is missing his entire muzzle.
Which is weird, because he's got that row of teeth there, by the way.
I was just assuming those were like back teeth.
we'll go with that one. I'll give
I don't
you
know.
that one.
That was my mind suspension of disbelief.
So, in the last panel of the arc is...
Jesus Christ, that.
Yeah. The kid getting tortured in hell while he's suspended above a pit of bodies by hooks. One through the bullet hole in his forehead, others through his feet. And he's being suspended on a fucking... I don't know what that is, but it's going through his dick and coming out his asshole.
It's a stalagmite,
Okay.
like the ones in the background. And those aren't bodies, those are like little demon things laughing at him.
Yeah, because he's like, stop laughing at me, because I guess his killing spree was spurred on by people laughing at him, even though he laughed at other people.
Yep. So it ends with that really kind of over-the-top karmic justice type thing.
Yeah. And the last little, I guess, narrative bubble is to be dedicated to the idea that everyone eventually gets what they are.
So that is the overall theme of like a lot of his stuff. It
Yes.
seems like.
Yes, it very much is. Like the other arc that I showed you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Like I said, Dave Hawkins has opinions on religion. And he likes to put those opinions forward. A good example of that is that little one-off comic I showed you, the chalkboard.
Oh God, yeah, that was early. Yeah, right there, chalkboard. Yeah, that was very
Almost preachy, I guess.
Yeah, it had a little bit of a preachy vibe to it. Like, not that I have a problem with any of the two kind of messages that are there or any of the sentiment there, but the way it's portrayed is just kind of like weird religious preachiness. Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
especially with the inclusion of an angel figure. The fact that the angel's wings are clearly been destroyed, so
We can get into that in a second. But basically what this little one-page comic is this kid is crying, and he, I guess, is in a school building, and he writes on a blackboard, "Dear God, why don't you stop war and kids killing kids and hunger?" Signed, Timmy Roberts. And this angel flies in through the window, and she looks at it, and she thinks for a second, and she replies with, "Dear Timmy Roberts, why should I stop people from doing something when they are perfectly capable of stopping themselves?" Signed, God.
yeah. Yeah, it was just weird. It was just fucking weird.
Then there's the one that I showed you.
Oh, Christ, that one.
Yeah, it's that one. You start off, and it's a narrative between Jack and the devil. And Jack is relaying a story to the devil about a thing that he had done. He'd gone to a diner owned by a character who showed up in a couple of previous arcs. Well, he relays a story of basically a bombing. And it basically becomes... Fuck, what was that movie?
Saw.
No, I thought there was a movie that was kind of like this. But yeah, it kind of does become a Saw-like thing. There's 5 people left over after the bombing. They're very obviously dead. They're in the rubble, and Jack decides to, I, I guess, play a game with them.
Yeah, exactly. There's literally no reason for Jack to do this.
Except to be a dick about it.
Yeah, because when the bomb goes off, there's way more people in the cafe than these 5 people that show up. And I think Jack says that these are 5 people whose souls are kind of...
in the middle.
Yeah, on the brink, on the fence between heaven and hell and purgatory. I kind of thought purgatory was where we live now, but I guess I was wrong. And so these 5 fucking souls get, I don't know, what would you call it? Like, trapped in limbo prior to their judgment? So,
yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like the Lost thing. They're very clearly dead, but they haven't reached judgment yet, I guess.
Is that what Lost is about?
I don't know. I know that they all died.
Oh, shit, that makes me more interested in it now.
Yeah.
I never watched that series.
Me either. I just remember reading about it. So, 5 people, they're awaiting judgment, and he decides to kind of play a game with them. Like, just fucking, y'all figure out, one of y'all is the bomber, one of you 5 figure it out.
And no, he doesn't ride out on a little tricycle and announce this via video. Or pre-recording. And that was one of the things I found odd. It's like, why? Was this supposed to determine whether or not they went to hell? Because he does say, when he's having this little monologue with the devil, that, it'll show different scenes, but the monologue is happening separately, of course.
Yeah.
It's a retelling. And he says, oh, no, the devil asks, you said there were 5, and he was like, oh yeah, there is a 5th one. He's definitely relevant. He's the reason they're the reason this whole thing happened. But they're not one of the souls that is on the fence. They're going straight to fucking hell.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he doesn't elaborate any more than that. He just says that, yeah, this one 5th individual is definitely involved, and they're going to hell. They're not really part of the 4 that are waffling about. And it was just something I found strange. It's like, other than maybe trying to help determine who goes to hell, who goes to purgatory, or who goes to heaven, there's no real point in having this thing.
Which I guess is kind of a cop-out, because out of the 5 of them, only 1 makes it into heaven. Obviously, the one who blew up the cafe went to hell. So the other 3 wound up in purgatory anyways. They didn't get off the fence at all anyways. So, like, there literally was no point to it except for the 1 person.
I don't want to get into this too deep, because I do want to, like, move through this and find some of the weird shit in this comic, but I can't help but wonder if maybe this was a chance for them not to act like assholes. Or
yeah,
at least, at least 1 or 2 of them not to act like assholes, because I think 2 of them ended up in hell, and 2 of them ended up in purgatory, and 1 ended up in heaven. And the guy, like, the first guy that goes was the person who accidentally killed those kids in the hospital.
Yeah.
With the gas.
Yeah.
And he was actually just begging to be sent to hell because he said he deserved it. So I'm assuming he just actually went to hell and didn't go to purgatory. And then, of course, there's the person that actually did it. And they obviously went to hell by the end of the comic. It's pretty apparent. That's something I'm sure we're going to touch on.
Oh, yeah.
But the other two, Mr. Douchebag and Mrs. Got More Problems Than You Will Ever Know. I'm guessing they went to purgatory. I'm not sure, unless it said explicitly otherwise.
No, I mean, it explicitly says at the end of the comic that 3 of them went to purgatory. The baby killer went to purgatory because it was an accident.
Okay, I just assumed he went to hell. I didn't realize. Okay.
No, he begged to be sent to hell, but because it was an accident, I guess they fucking left him. Anyway, that baby killer dude isn't the point of this comic.
No, not even.
Not remotely. He's the first to go. But the fact that the baby killer is the first to go should kind of give you an idea of what direction this is headed. You've got the owner of the cafe, who's an asshole, who is pissed at death because he took a friend of his years ago.
So, okay, let me ask you one thing here, not to distract you or sidetrack you even further. But in the beginning, when he's going over some of the different characters that existed, pretty much establishing characters like any typical thing would do, he says there's one, it's a businessman that is not necessarily an atheist, but doesn't believe in religion and doesn't really have an opinion on whether or not God is good.
Yeah.
Is that referring to the store owner?
No. He's, like, listing off people that were in the cafe, because in the panel before it, it said most of the souls in that restaurant were locked in. Most times I could tell. You know, for example, at the time a teacher stopped in from working late grading papers, a God-fearing woman, she was set for heaven. And then he talks about the businessman who is an atheist, but not an evil dude. So...
Oh, so he wasn't covering the people that were in our little group for the most part of the comic. He was just going over some of the daily customers that were there?
Yeah.
All right, okay, because that confused me too. I was like, dude.
Yeah. So, then you have Cuddy McCutterson.
Oh, God.
This is a girl who apparently was sitting on top of the bomb when it went off, so it, like, she was vaporized and came back as a complete person, or furry, or whatever. And she flips out in the middle of it and, like, repeatedly cuts her arm. Just to relieve... I'm really careful, honestly. Just need to ground myself. Just a few small cuts. You know.
She's basically she's a cutter, and she basically has a fucking breakdown in the middle of this thing because, well, I'm pretty sure I'd probably have a breakdown too if this happened to me. If this happens when I die, I'm probably going to lose my shit. But she's a cutter, so she starts cutting herself, and it's obvious that she's fucked. If not by the dialogue, then just by the expressions that her character has.
Dude, her character... first off, like, her entire face and ears are just pitch black. Well, the background is pitch black.
Yeah.
And so there's, like, this weird white outline that he does. Plus, holy shit, I just noticed this.
Jesus Christ, what has got you giggling?
So much better. Oh, it's getting so much better the more I crop it. Oh my god. Yes, this is gonna be beautiful. You're gonna love this, Josh. You're gonna die.
I give you this in return.
Jesus. For those of you, because I'm probably not going to bother editing this into the video. I might, but in case I don't, they are a couple of character expressions, and their eyes are just going like chameleon eyes.
Oh my god. Like how I had no idea what made you start laughing your ass off. So I turned my attention back to the comic, and I find that.
And then
We're on the exact same wavelength. Stupid shit. Holy fuck. Let's just mix these two together and make them the thumbnail.
Oh. So, Connie McCutterson makes a derp face, and she fucking tells the Reaper to send her wherever. Fucking... It can't be. So, the knife, a cell phone shows up, and dude's mother calls him on it, and he's talking to her.
Ahmed, where are you? I call you 5 times now. That cafe downtown just blew up. Where are you, my son?
Okay. So, he briefly alludes to the fact that these are all things that were important to the people in the space at the moment. One of them is a book. Anything else show up? Yes, a book. But while everyone was distracted, its owner tried to hide it. How dull. Did the book start with a Q? I never saw the title. So already he's kind of alluding to what's going on. A few more of the characters give their little backstories. This, that, and the other. Fucking...
Yeah, it's like an AA meeting, I swear. It's like a pre-death judgment AA meeting where they're just kind of introducing each other.
Yeah, it really is. And they're trying to work through some shit.
Because they know one of them is the person that blew everybody up, killed everyone.
Yeah. And they're trying to figure that out.
Yet I'm still clueless as to why. Like,
I don't think that there really was a point to it.
Because I mean, we've got the one guy, the person, the janitor that accidentally
killed the kids.
Yeah, killed some newborns because of the gas leak. And you've still got these other 4 characters that are like, yo, why am I here? Like, dude, I don't care who died. I just want to find out whether they're gonna... I don't care who killed me. I just want to find out whether I'm going to heaven or hell. Like that, I mean...
Yeah. Like it does get to the point where everyone's just like, dude, stop. Just tell us. Fuck. They're going through all this shit. And eventually it's down to 2 people. The owner of the cafe is fucked off, and it's down to a college student and this other dude. And so it's very much, well, I know I didn't do it, so it's gotta be you. And he's like, I've never done anything wrong in my life. And so it's like, well, one of you is lying. And he's like, well, I know I didn't do it. Excuse me. As I was saying, I've never done anything wrong in my life. And blowing up the diner was not wrong. And here's where it kind of goes sideways.
Yeah.
Josh, you care to take this when you are,
Don't, I don't know what you were about to say, but like it's this point. It's all kind of led up to this. You know, they're this is what kills me about the comic, is because they are. Just keep this in mind, because I'm going to bring this back up here in a minute. Throughout the comic so far, or this particular sequence, they're talking about who killed everybody. You know, they're not talking about who sinned. I mean, treating the detonation of the bomb inside the cafe as a sin. They do bring up their individual sins in the past, and when it gets down to just three of them, after Mrs. Cuddy Wrist just says, "Fine, fuck it, send me to heaven or hell. Just let me get out of here. Let me be done," because she feels betrayed by the store owner who had her as an employee and a friend for a long time.
yeah.
Because he said that she's perfectly capable of being the person that blew it up, and she feels really fucking betrayed. So she's just like, "Fuck it, I'm out."
Yeah.
And so she bounces, and you're left with the other three characters, you know, minus accidental child murdering. Well, wouldn't be murder if it's accidental. Accidental child gassing janitor dude, Mrs. Derpy Eye Wrist Slit, and you're left with the douchebag store owner, the somewhat defensive and pretentious bird dude, and the relatively lovey-dovey ditzy giraffe woman who also showed up to the cafe wearing her jogger outfit, which is a little bit on the skimpy side. And she's also a college student. And when it's just the three of them, it's just douchebag dragon mixstore owner, pretentious bird prick, and ditzy slut giraffe. Well, it was her book that shows up, and she kind of tries to hide it, because they're looking for someone who might have bombed the place. And in her book, she's got a chemistry book with some formulas highlighted that basically, if you combine them, are some of the basic components you'd need to build a bomb of some sort. And there's a kind of vindictive note left talking about her college. So there's the implication, the other two characters find it, there's the implication that she was considering bombing her college. Now, it's not known when this scene happens whether or not she planned to go through with it, but I'm kind of inclined to say that it was something she had decided against prior to this explosion happening, because I guess she was going to be going to hell if she hadn't thought about going against it and wouldn't even be here, wouldn't be relevant. But pretentious or obnoxious douchebag store owner guy ends up getting spirited away because he says, "Fuck it, I'm done." Because after he finds the journal, and he says he believes the giraffe lady whose journal or book it belonged to, and had already gotten in a fist fight with this bird dude, he's just like, I don't know, I don't care, I'm out. He's more pissed with death at this point.
Yeah.
And so he's gone. He's out of the picture.
And
it's
taken
just
a friend of his previously.
Yeah.
He had more beef with death than with the person who actually killed him.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
so
that
he's,
makes sense.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to be mad at death, in all honesty. But so it's just these two, and Giraffe Lady's kind of like, well, I mean, I know it wasn't me, and since douchebag dragon store owner dude is gone, I can only mean it's you. And this is where it switches over. And it's...
And after each person disappears, it's like, they did not do it. They
Yeah,
had
yeah.
this going on, but they were not the ones who took it. They were not the one who took your life.
Yeah, Death straight up tells the remaining individuals that, yeah, it wasn't the guy that's gone now. And that's where he vanishes, and Death says, Jeddah was not responsible for your deaths. The killer is still here. Giraffe Woman's like, wait, but then who? And Bird Dude pipes up, I've never done anything wrong in my life. Like Ed was saying, that mean you would have had to have... He's like, excuse me, I was saying I've never done anything wrong in my life. And destroying the diner was not wrong. Now that the rest are gone, perhaps I can explain myself in a way even you could understand. And of course, the bird is a dude, a male, and Giraffe is a female. And it's like, what, but why? He's like, you're a woman. I'm not obligated to tell you anything. Consider this a gift to you for not rushing to judge me. This was not my first bomb. But still you messed it up? You must have been trying to leave then, because his back is all completely fucked up.
Yeah.
And you only get a couple shots that actually show it in the beginning of the comic, which is...
Well, and the way that Dave draws the head turning to look behind him, you can't really tell whether you're looking at the dude's back or his front or what.
Yeah, like the panel they do to reveal that his back is fucked up, honestly, really just could be his front side with him cocking a sideways look at her.
Yeah.
Which would be perfectly fitting in this situation, but it's obvious that he's a radical jihadist or whatever. There is an interaction between he and the douchebag store owner, where the douchebag store owner is being, well, a douchebag, kind of grilling him on where he comes from. And I believe it was Pakistan?
Yeah, something like that. He's from the Middle East.
Yeah, and he's well, I was gonna say an Arab, but there's a fair number of Indians in Pakistan, but whatever. He's your stereotypical Middle Eastern fucking not that he talks like it, not that he looks like it, or any weird like super hackneyed stereotype like that. But he blows up a cafe in the name of his religion, and
in the name of getting his 72 virgins.
Yeah, like he blows the fucking cafe up, and he is, once it's just he and this giraffe lady, he is just completely unapologetic about it, which I would imagine somebody that's willing to blow themselves up for the name of God would probably be pretty fucking unapologetic. But it's so weird because it's like, dude, why was he trying to hide it beforehand when there were, like, 4 other people there? Why wouldn't he just be like, yeah, bitch, I blew you up because you were a fucking infidel?
He did it because that way dude could draw out this fucking religious AA meeting that he fucking wrote here. If the dude just came out and said, it was me, Allahu Akbar, it would be over in a couple of panels,
It would also probably get people way more pissed.
Right? Oh, hold on. This was done in 2006. So, after 9/11, but before the current
year
shit fest that's going on now. So, basically, dude is like, yeah, I blew the cafe up because of my religion, but he goes on this tangent that he saw Cuddy McCutterson in the fucking cafe and decided that she was going to be one of his 72 virgins. I first saw Sharika nearly a month ago, and I had to have her. She was perfect, and it would honor her to be at my side. Can't say I thought the same of you when I first saw you in that whore's outfit, but I guess you'll do.
Yeah, so basically he places the bomb directly at the table she's at so that it'll be guaranteed to take her if nobody else. Look, I don't got a problem with something that fucking calls out Islam or makes a fucking Muzzy the bad guy of the comic. If anything, that's probably more relevant now than it was in 2006. But, like, dude, later, as death, takes him, and obviously he's an asshole. Like, I don't think anybody on Earth who believes in heaven or hell would, well, even the people that don't would probably say somebody like that deserves to go to fucking hell. But, this death dude goes on, like, a little bit of a tangent as he's, telling the guy that he's going to go to hell, and the guy is demanding him, no, you will take me to meet God. That's like, dude, nigga, no. It ain't gonna happen.
You want to read that little diatribe he goes on?
Yeah,
it's,
whew. As he said, alright, so he's claiming jihadi bird bra, and bird bra's like, enough, demon, I've done God's work, you will take me to him. Death's like, no. And then Death says, and I'll read this off in the speech bubble, it says, God does not see people who will murder in his name and are pretentious enough to then say it was his will. You souls are all the same. Christian, Islamic, Muslim, Jewish, Catholic, whatever, you pervert your religion to suit your own bigotries, and then you all end up in the same place.
You all end up in hell! Yeah, and he viciously brutalizes the Muslim dude. And
no, he just wraps him up in fucking cloth like a fucking mummy, which is kind of ironic. Well, after he's pierced him violently. But I couldn't get past this when I was reading this the first time. You souls are all the same. Christian, Islamic, Muslim, Jewish, Catholic, whatever.
So that's like, what, maybe 3 religions that he covered?
Yeah. I mean, Catholics
all Abrahamic?
Yeah, Catholics are Christians. Islam and Muslims, well, Muslims are people who practice Islam, so it's like saying Jewish and Jews.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess there could be some quote-unquote Jewish individuals who don't actually practice Judaism, but that's more on a racial basis, not a religious one. Yeah, that just made no fucking sense. That bothered the shit out of me. I was reading
well,
it.
It really kind of shows the depth of his knowledge about the thing that he's trying to, I guess, rail against or shine a light on. He's like, he likes to play the, oh, I'm an enlightened religious thinker, and then he names, like, what, 6, 7 different quote-unquote religions, but then, like, 4 of them are the same fucking thing. So, it's really kind of a great little insight to what his actual knowledge is about the thing that he's trying to be a dick about.
Yeah, it just kind of kills me. Like, I'm sure there is probably at least one person out there who is going to have a problem with me saying that Catholics are Christian, but if you happen to be that one person, you can politely go fuck yourself with a cactus and dance in traffic. So, now that's out of the way. Yeah, it's just, I mean, again, I don't mind stuff taking on religious themes and stuff that is generally kind of a no-no to touch on. In fact, I like it. It's fun. I get my fucking jollies off to it.
And that's initially what drew me to the comic in the first place. the reason I enjoyed it when I was younger. But then things like this would pop up. And it very quickly, if it's not doing that, it's being preachy.
Like the chalkboard one?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to slam somebody for putting their personal opinions out there into a fucking comic. I'm just like...
Oh, fuck no. I'm a musician. I touch on stuff in my music that, I would never bring up in just general conversation. There's a... You can use your art as a medium to discuss things that would not be, I guess, socially acceptable in a normal setting. If that makes sense.
Oh, God, yeah. Dude, I understand.
But if you're going to do that, at least have a basic working of what you're talking about. A basic working knowledge of what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean... I'm not a Christian. I've never read the Bible in its entirety. And I do include some Christian symbology in my work every now and again. And occasionally quotations. I try to, when I do include them, if I realize I don't actually understand this quote to its entirety, but I want to use it, I'll go ahead and I'll check.
Yeah.
I'll Google it, and I'll see what religious folks have to say about it, because even amongst religious Christian types, there's dissent things mean. And
Yeah.
if one happens to speak to me as an interpretation better than the other, I'll just and if any Christian says, actually, that's not what that quote is supposed to imply, I'll be like, well, this bishop said it was, so he could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a fucking Christian myself. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have the best understanding of the source material. The same thing with the Quran. I do intend to read it through its entirety, because right now I've only read a few, I guess, quote-unquote chapters.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have a better understanding. I like to have a good understanding of the dogma that makes certain people's world views tick, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I think I should have I think I and probably everybody should have a better understanding of that. But not to say I get too deep into it, but Jesus fucking Christ, dude, like, listing Islam and Muslims as like different categories when you're running down
to back. Literally back to back.
When the main and not to say his depiction of the killer or the bomber's thought process is completely unrealistic or offensive or racist or Islamophobic. I actually, based on some of the Facebook posts from people that have done terrorist attacks in recent years, not 2006, honestly, definitely not all of them, but a couple of them, it meshes up a little bit for certain. That doesn't excuse the completely, like, it's not even a racial or religious inappropriate kind of content issue. It's just a Jesus fuck, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, do you? Issue. It's just, fuck. This is one of the main topics of your comic, and you clearly either you wrote half of that, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and went ahead and finished it real quick. Either that, you were drunk, or B, or C, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm far more inclined to believe it's the latter there.
Exactly.
So it's just frustrating.
Oh.
Although I won't lie, at no point when I was reading all of these different comics, like I said, I read about like 5 or 6. At no point was I bored. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about Jader or Jadder or whatever it is. Because it's spelled differently twice. Like,
yeah,
the
I
sign
noticed
says
that.
Jater, but the guy's name is like not that.
Oh fuck! I want to link you this one. When you get a chance, I want you to read through that one. But look at the first. Kind of browse through the first few of them until you figure out who that first character that appears is.
Holy shit, that panel!
Which one?
The one where he's talking about, I just wish my dad was right more often. Or his lessons on gun safety. They'll tell you it's wrong to shoot other people, but faggots ain't people.
Woo.
Yeah, that's an adequate summary of my response. It's just woo lads. Yet again.
Yeah.
The fucking character at the beginning of it.
I told you he was old guard.
Dude, like, before it even got to, like, the name dropping, which was completely unfucking necessary, before it even got there, I was like, wait, is this who I think it's gonna be? If so, what the fuck?
And then it was.
What the fuck?
So, this arc starts off with Uncle Kage.
Literally, Uncle fucking Kage.
He's giving a speech at someone's wedding. They name drop him twice just to get the point across now.
In case you couldn't tell who the fuck it was supposed to be, even with the fucking 5 panels of wine consumption there. Specifically stating that it's wine because, you know.
And he takes up a good portion. There's like 2 or 3 pages of just Kage before they even introduce the main characters of this arc.
Yeah, I'm looking at my scroll bar here. I've got it at the very end of the Kage stuff, and it's got to be at least, I'd say about a fifth or a sixth.
Yeah, a fifth of the way through the fucking arc before anyone but Kage shows up.
And I mean, I don't necessarily know Kage, nor do I particularly care to. I mean, he seems like an okay person, but like the speech that is given does not sound like anything I could imagine Kage ever actually fucking saying.
Yeah, so these 2 characters get married. It's Joan and Jeremy. They get married, or is it Joanne? I don't care. I'm too drunk
Joan.
to care. And they get married, and they have their honeymoon, and they fuck, and it turns out that Jeremy's a doctor. I think he actually shows up in another arc where he's morally ambiguous and kills people, and yeah. It's been a while since I've read these. But anyway, Jeremy is a doctor, and they find out that they're pregnant. Well, his wife's pregnant, whatever. They get into a fight over money because, yeah.
In a car ride, of course.
Yeah, in a car ride in the rain. Jeremy has feelings of being an inadequate father because of his own father was apparently a pretty shitty person. The hilarious panel that you pointed out earlier, where a young Jeremy is talking to his dad who's holding a shotgun, and his dad says, "They'll tell you it's wrong to shoot other people, but faggots ain't people."
Yeah, that fucking slayed me.
That hand in that panel slays me.
I mean, compared to like a lot of the expressions throughout all of these panels, it's almost forgivable. The fact that the shotgun looks like an oversized hot dog is a bit of a concern, but I'm a gun horny alt-right faggot edgelord pulse smoker, or whatever that person called me. So I guess I'm prone to
notice
fits of tism about guns. You'll notice I tried to lay the fuck off on an analysis of guns when it came to school shooting one.
Oh, dude, because those were not guns that exist in real life. They were just, holy fuck, what was he shooting people with?
Because I would have just spent 45 minutes of just sitting there bitching about them. So I just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna not worry about those.
So, anyway, David has feelings of inadequacy of being a father because of his own father. It goes through a bunch of bullshit leading up to the hospital visit where they actually have the kid, and the child dies in childbirth. And you have a very Control-Alt-Delete-esque panel where he runs to her bedside and holds her, and they're both crying. He goes to work, the wife falls into a deep depression, and she tries to kill herself using pills.
Yeah, he's calling her this whole time too.
Yeah, he's on the phone talking to the answering machine when she does this.
Yeah, there's a couple panels where he calls and the answering machine is playing in the background. She's just lying in bed, completely silent and crying and clearly fucked up. And of course, the whole time he's at the hospital, there's a couple nearby him celebrating because they just had their fucking kid and stuff. And
yeah. And so he finds out that she tried to kill herself. She comes back from the dead, basically. There's a big emotional scene where he's professing his love for her. She's like, "Oh, I went to a dark place and there was someone with me. All I could see were his red eyes." Obviously talking about Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I followed your voice back, Jeremy. I never wanted to hurt you, Jeremy, but, I killed myself. Or tried to, at least.
Never meant to hurt you, though.
Yeah.
I just never considered
and
about
then,
the rest of your life.
Dave literally jump cuts from him hugging her in the hospital bed after she recovers from trying to kill herself to him pacing the hospital, and they just had twins. And what you would not have picked up on, Josh, is the names of the two characters of the twins. First off, they're supposed to be twins, and they are literally different species, neither one of which are the species of the parents.
So, when you mentioned picking up on names, I immediately went to the names and some of the characters they mentioned earlier, which were literally the author's name. And, well, never mind. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking specifically about Arlist and Virgil. And these are two characters from previous arcs who have died and apparently got reincarnated. Reincarnation seems to be a big thing of these, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that at all.
I've noticed it's popped up twice.
Yes, it pops up a lot. I think Virgil killed himself in one of the previous arcs, and then Arlist is a character who had precognitive powers due to a deal with Drip.
Arliss was the one that douchebag dragon dude was bitching about because he lost. Wasn't he?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you kind of know Arlist's story
a little bit.
Yeah.
Not sure I want to know more, though.
Yeah, it's just a really weird, try-hard kind of thing that he does. Jesus Christ, I close that tab and "Can you get these dolphins to stop fucking me?" pops up. Yeah, that's my night. Fuck.
Dias Wood.
You read Jack and you get rape, you get child molestation, you get fucking a really shitty grasp on religion as a whole.
You get dying fetuses.
It's funny because we're metalheads. And there's a metal band called Dying Fetus. I like that joke.
Yep.
This comic is basically like, it has the appeal that Linkin Park did, like during the hybrid theory thing, except there's a hell of a lot more rape.
You're looking back at your teenage self and just asking, dude, what?
Yeah, basically. I'm like, dude, why? Why? Like, I've kind of half-ass kept up with it a little bit, but it's one of those things that I can't really waste my time with. You know, I'm a busy guy, Josh.
I know, we're doing this.
Right?
Yeah, I was, this is something new to me entirely. Obviously, I hadn't come across it before. In contrast to some of the webcomics we've talked about briefly on the show before, it's got a leg up in terms of having content that is something besides, I don't know, autistic fetishes. But this is, I don't know how to phrase it. This is of note. I really don't know how to phrase it. I just, yeah, it's, there's the consistent Judeo-Christian vibe in it. Not, from most of the stuff I've looked at, not necessarily like a preachy, traditional, something that would come from somebody on Fur Affinity that's got the Furries for Christ icon permanently displayed on their profile page.
Yeah.
Not that kind, but definitely somebody with some deep internal, perhaps even semi-subconscious struggles. It's like something I kind of get from a lot of this. I don't know if that makes sense to you or if that sounds off, because you've read a lot more of this shit than I have. But I get a little bit of that vibe from it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess Dave's work is...
Scary on the best of days.
Yeah, it's just... The dude's got issues. So, we've spent a good portion of time going through some of his shit. If anything pops up, which I kind of doubt it will, the dude's been pretty consistently this since 2001, 15, 16 years. So, I doubt anything is going to change much. Which is good, which is bad. But, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it? I mean, fuck, people spend countless hours bitching about how artists change dramatically with their styles and their content, so... Well...
Yeah. You can't knock him for that, I guess.
No, you certainly can, and we did.
But, from the two of us here at BrainDeath, that's Dave fucking Hawkins for you.
That is, it's something new for me. I'm still unsure as to whether or not I am glad it was, introduced. I'm a bit on the fence there. Although, like I said before, while reading through those comics, I was never bored. Yeah, I was going to say, unless there's anything else you have to say about them, I figured we'd do front page fun and call it a night, because I've got, I don't really think I have any more words within my vernacular to describe or discuss the content of the creator of Jack.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice. What
Oh, my God.
is that? Is he wearing a shirt of his character?
Yep. And just in case you couldn't quite tell, because you're not quite the nerd I am, that is supposed to be an Argonian.
Oh, no.
From the Elder Scrolls.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, it's in the tags. Oh, no, honey, what are you doing?
See, I'm a big enough doof that I could recognize it. I was just kind of like, wait, no, you can't be serious. Must just be a dragon and some similarities. And I scroll down and
Argonian.
and yeah, it's okay. That's but it's not just any Camaro. It's Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. It's gotta be Bumblebee.
One of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, at least this vehicle from which I like is a 2016 Chevrolet Camaro. It was photographed on my iPhone by my non-furry brother and handler that day at Latchaland Supernova 2017 in Sydney, Australia. What the fuck?
This guy's whole
Go ahead.
gallery is just cringe.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't even think about looking at their gallery.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God damn it. God damn it. Now you got me going through their fucking gallery, and I'm just like, dude, no,
Stop.
why?
Stop.
No, this is your fault. This is your fault, Edward.
He looks like a midget in this picture.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how that happened, but it just, where's the rest of him?
Oh, I love that he's wearing socks on the beach.
No, I think those are slippers.
Are they?
Yeah, those look like he's got socks with slippers on, which like you can't really go barefoot if you're going to be wearing a suit like that, quote unquote suit like that.
Wow.
Yeah, those gotta be. I just love the shark fursuit in the background that actually looks really really well done.
Right. Even
Like,
the fake muscles on it.
Exactly. Like I wish I had a better shot of that. I'm curious about that suit.
I love the
looks
girls in the background looking at, like, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on.
I mean, to be fair, there is a plethora of amazing fursuit photos with people in the background just staring like, dude, what?
Oh, fuck. I'm closing this. No. Besides, I found this autism.
Oh, yeah, feed me Seymour. What? Do what? Enter the eclipse, by which they mean literally a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, I think I'm a pass. Like, oh my god, it's got tits, too.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I think I've run into this person. I've been shit posted links to this person's stuff before.
I
Should say.
I would not doubt it. They have a giant snake girl in their favorites. Because of course they do. And she's eating the plane. Oh god. Oh. 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 So that's the dude that drew that.
Oh god, what did you link? Oh, that's what you linked.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
Not only do I manage to not look like a fat ass dork in this picture, I would highly debate that.
Just go on reading the rest of that.
Maybe even managing to look slightly handsome, but I also smile when I look at the happiness in Lily's eye.
The squinty, bulged lower eyelid. She looks as if she's smiling mirror to mirror, heart.
The tags are Hyundai Accent, Lily, OS, Objectum, Sexual, Macrophile, Girlfriend, Relationship.
Typically when I'm making some sort of crass joke about sexual orientation and the like, I will joke about being petrosexual. This is calling into question whether that's still applicable as something that is overtly obvious sarcasm to every party at play. Oh, Jesus Christ. The first comment is, she's a fucking car. She ain't smiling at shit. Oh my god.
I'm done with this.
Yeah, I think I need to check the fuck out from this before I fucking start losing more brain cells than even the alcohol has managed to kill off so far.
Right.
Holy shit. Oh, God.
I'm gonna sign the fuck off. I'm done. I can't take any more of this.
God, hours and hours of can't. This is your fault.
I know. Leave me alone.
Never.
So, from the both of us here at BrainDeath,
Cancer.
Yeah, cancer. Cancer upon you, cancer upon your cow. We'll see y'all on the flip side.
Catch you fuckers later. I hope you enjoy some of this content, quote unquote. Peace.